Hello Formula 1 and Indycar fans. Welcome to Formula Pun Racer. Today is March 12th, 2022. Before I get into any news about racing, I like to say that we shall pause for a moment of silence to honor Danny Ongais, the only Hawaiian driver to race in the Indianapolis 500. He sadly passed away back on the 26th of February from congestive heart failure. He was 79. And also, since I mentioned and used Sesame Street references in my last video, wishing Mario Andretti a happy birthday, it is also with great sadness for you Sesame Street fans to have to announce that back on the 10th of March, a longtime cast member of the show, Emilio Delgado, who portrayed Luis, the fix-it handyman on Sesame Street, passed away from blood cancer. He was 81. And he definitely taught us a lot of people how to speak Spanish in certain areas, or raised awareness so we would be aware of the culture. And I applaud you, Emilio, or should I say Luis, for this. So to Danny Ongais and to Luis, I say aloha and adios. Godspeed, Danny Ongais, and Emilio Delgado, go with God. As for Danny Ongais, it's interesting about the Flyin Hawaiian they sometimes nicknamed him. He raced in 11 Indianapolis 500s from 1977 to 1996. He had 6 IndyCar wins, one of them in 1977 and 5 of them in 1978. He also raced in dragsters and F1. Unfortunately, he had no points, let alone a podium or win in F1. Some of his biggest highlights at the Indy 500 was a violent accident he suffered in the North Chute in 1981 with his car disintegrated and his arms and legs exposed and badly burned and fractured bones galore. But he came back to race in 1982. In 1987, he had to sit out the Indy 500 after crashing in practice and hurting himself for Team Penske. And his replacement? Al Unser Sr., who would go on to win the race and take his 4th Indy 500 win. After sitting out the Indy 500 from 1987, he returned in 1996 to replace the fatally injured Scott Brayton at Team Menard, who had to start dead last as a result. He finished 7th. His best finish at the Indianapolis 500 came in 1979 when he finished 4th. So that's what it is with Indy cars. Also, in present news with Indy cars, Colton Herta and Andretti Autosport has agreed to give Colton a Mclaren test run in the F1 world. So this ought to be interesting, even though Colton's focus is still primarily on Indy cars. So I hope he wins Indy 500 before going F1 first, if he ever does. And with American teams in F1, while people are still skeptical about Andretti investing in the world of Formula 1, who knows if it'll even happen, it can be said that with Uralkali, the Russian sponsor that used to back up Team HAAS, has been taken off the car for good, and Nikita Mazepin has been let go of the HAAS team because of the conflicts in Russia and Ukraine. It is unfortunate that because of this unnecessary conflict between Russia and Ukraine, that the FIA has needed to hack and sever all ties with anything Russian from investors, sponsorships, drivers, and especially racing in Russian and Belarusian territories. So where does this leave Nikita Mazepin? That's a good question. But a bigger reason why they had to let Nikita Mazepin and his sponsor Uralkali go, HAAS, is because that Nikita Mazepin's dad, Vladimir Mazepin, is not only the owner of Uralkali, but has close ties with Vladimir Putin, so that's not really good for business in a way. So as a driver and a person who just wants to race and dream, no matter where they come from, I'm sorry that this is the case, but Russians at this point are banned from racing in FIA-sanctioned races. Probably IndyCar too, for all I know. And I may have said in my last video that while the Sochi Russian GP has been cancelled, and so is its plans to expand by racing in the streets of St. Petersburg in the future, where does that leave HAAS with sponsor? To be decided. But to replace Nikita Mazepin alongside Mick Schumacher, I did say at one point it might be Pietro Fittipaldi. Maybe, but the bigger news has been made. A permanent replacement has come. The Danish butter cookie known as Kevin Magnussen is back at HAAS Racing. Oh, you rock as ever, Catherine O'Hara. Thank you for that moment. And happy 30th anniversary to Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. I hope to go to New York next month in April for the New York Auto Show at the Jacob Javits Center, as well as swing by the Plaza Hotel in celebration of this 30th anniversary. But back to IndyCar news. While Tatiana Calderon of Colombia will drive the third AJ Foyt entry in the road and street courses alongside Dalton Kellett of Canada and Kyle Kirkwood of the US of A, the third entry for the ovals will be driven by none other than J.R. Hildebrand. How nice of AJ to give J.R. another chance at his team. Also, in Ed Carpenter Racing news, you may have noticed that the driver himself, Ed Carpenter, did only the street courses only in car number 20, but for the first time, while Ed Carpenter will do the oval races, for the first time, he will not be driving the number 20 car, but number 33. Connor Daly will continue to drive the number 20 throughout the season, and Rinus VK of the Netherlands, number 21. And now on to F1 news. While it is said that preseason testing has begun at the Sakhir circuit in Bahrain starting on March 10th, over a 3-day period, it was quite an eventful one at that. The first day, it turned out Pierre Gasly of AlphaTauri was on top, with Carlos Sainz Jr. of Spain in his Ferrari second fastest, and Charles Leclerc in his Ferrari third. But the second round, which was on March 11th, was quite an amazing one at that. But most importantly, it wasn't so lucky for Canada's Nicholas Latifi driving for the Williams, as his rear brakes caught on fire and suspension melted, and he was in to also be a fireman to put those flames out. Boy, as if the hot weather in Bahrain wasn't enough already. That flaming Williams Mercedes made Nicholas Latifi definitely feel hotter under the collar. In contrast, his fellow Canadian Lance Stroll and his Aston Martin fared much better in the first 2 of 3 test sessions, setting the 4th fastest time in both the first 2, but best fastest time of 16th in the 3rd and final test session. And as for day 2, surprise, surprise, Kevin Magnussen in his HAAS Ferrari set fastest time, with Carlos Sainz in his Ferrari second fastest, and surprisingly, Max Verstappen 3rd fastest in his Red Bull. On the 3rd and final day of pre-race testing, it was Max Verstappen that set the fastest time, with Mick Schumacher, Magnussen's HAAS teammate, with 2nd fastest time, and Carlos Sainz of Ferrari once again 3rd fastest. So looks like Ferrari has some potential to get up there and get some podiums, if not some wins, for the first time since 2019. And can Aston Martin do well, as apparently we've seen from Lance Stroll and Sebastian Vettel in pre-season testing? Only time will tell. So once again, if you want to know when does the first race of the season start, right here, March 20th, Bahrain. And the same day, be sure to grab some Texas toast for the Indy cars, which start at the Texas Motor Speedway. Can Penske continue to be mightier than the sword, or will Colton Herta of Andretti Autosport do something to bring the glorious dominance that the Andretti team once was back to victory lane? We will see. Also, with the following day after this recording being Marco Andretti's birthday, I say, happy birthday in advance, Marco Andretti. Good luck at the Indianapolis 500. Thanks for watching my videos. Please like and subscribe and share with your friends, comment, and I love reading your comments and what I can do to improve my videos. And let's see who puts the best wheel forward in Bahrain and Texas, and who will be spraying champagne and spraying confetti at the end of these races. Let's find out. Once again, see you in the next video, everyone. I'm Aaron Cylinder, firing on all cylinders.